This is my design that I've made in the back garden. So this is the rather unusual design that I've made in my back garden. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of gravel here, and I wanted something that was on the ground level just to give a feeling of some sort of clothing, and also to extend the feeling of design. So I've allied it with a ley line which goes up to the Minster. And what I've done is I've put chamomile, so the rest of the chamomile I used in the little small chamomile lawn I made at the front. And this type of chamomile is non-flowering and it's low growing, so it will just form a green mat, a very fragrant green mat. It has a beautiful sort of appley but slightly aromatic smell. And the design, as you can see, is a cross, but is actually inspired by the Northern Cross, the constellation of Cygnus. And consequently, I have the 2 feet here, which are the feet of the swan in the constellation. And I just wanted to, because these feet are not that prominent, there are a couple of stones that I collected that I thought were rather lovely from the beach, and I chose them. But just to sort of highlight them, I thought I would put in a couple of plants down here, and I'm going to use a couple of small ferns. These are ferns which I collected, I wild harvested when I was down on the Gower Peninsula for holiday a few months ago. The Gower Peninsula is where I grew up, and I have so many happy memories of connecting with nature there. And it's a limestone area, so I've incorporated some limestone in this design, and also the chamomile likes the limestone soil. And I feel there is a connection, a big connection with the limestone to the sort of Atlanteans and what you might call the sort of ancient civilizations. And as a child, I always loved the limestone scenery and the caves. Whenever I go anywhere else in the UK or abroad, I always love that sort of scenery. There's a place near here where I am in York. There's a place called Knaresborough, and it's a limestone gorge, and it's one of my favourite places. It has an amazing viaduct that goes over the top, and beautiful sort of dramatic sweeping scenery. And so in a way that's another sort of connection to things for me. So I've got a fern here, and I was wondering if I could divide it in 2, but it's not really happening, and I don't want to knacker it. So I just have to decide. I think I might put that in the middle. I'm going to put that in the middle, and then I've got some littler ferns which I also wild harvested from the Gower Peninsula. So I think these will separate okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll put a little here and a little here, and then that can go in the middle of my 2 feet. So I've got quite a few memories of the Gower Peninsula here which I'm incorporating. This soil that I put is from there, and I carried it up with me, partly to keep the plants happy and partly to just kind of remember the vibration of that place. So I'm going to put in this little fern here on this side. The other thing I've got that is from the Gower Peninsula is this rock here, which I've placed in the centre of the Vesica Pisces. This Vesica Pisces design was inspired actually from a crop circle that was done recently in May, and the crop circle appeared opposite the giant, the Dorset giant, and it's a sort of female sign, so it's quite interesting that it appeared in a field directly opposite. And this stone, which is a beautiful stone that seems to have some sandstone and some quartz, and it's a lovely stone that sort of rocks. If you stand it up, it kind of has a rocking motion. But I didn't want to have anything that was intruding really into, that people could trip over. So I've completely levelled it off, and I found that on Three Cliffs Bay, which is one of the most beautiful and dramatic beaches on the Gower Peninsula, and it's a very special place as well. It has these beautiful three cliffs which lead out to the sea, and they're sort of sheltered by a lovely cave, and it was just on the beach that I found the rock. So I'm going to put in this other little fern here. And then I'll put this one just in the centre above the feet. Just give it a nice bed and make it nice and cosy. There we go. I've got some shells here that I collected from that bay, along with my daughter actually. Some of them got a little bit broken. But I think I'll put one or two shells around the inner design. So we've got some lovely oysters, a limpet, a nice mussel. I can't remember what these ones are called. Do you have a name? It's a big one. I'll probably change this as I go along. It's very much like making sandcastles really, which I always enjoy. So I'm in my element. It's funny when you come to sort of decide where things are going to go. There's no really logical explanation, but somehow things look right in one place and not another. And it's very much getting in touch with your inner child, I think, and playing. I like that. That's got a very shiny sort of mother of pearl. That's lovely. I might put that here. Maybe it can go there for now. Catches the light really beautifully. This one's got a nice golden effect. I might well add more things to that later, because it's very much a work in progress, I think. So what I was doing earlier on, which you'll probably see, was laying out the circles of the Vesica Pisces here. And you have two circles which have the same diameter, and they intersect in a specific place. So one goes halfway around there and the other goes halfway around there, and then this central section is the intersection area. And then to delineate the circles, I literally took materials that we dug up, waste materials that we dug up from the front garden. So under the front garden there was a lot of old patio and crazy paving, and that's literally this. So I just literally felt my way around through the cracks to create the outside. And then these stones that I've put, this is yellow limestone, and again these were pieces of lime brick patio really, and they were pieces that were dug up from the front, and the reason I used them obviously was because of their lime association. But it's interesting when you when you start to do some sort of design that it kind of almost gets a life of its own. So for instance, I was looking at this because I've been looking at this design from this way round with one particular end in mind, or one particular idea in mind, and then when I turn around to look at the design from this way, I realised that when you look at the Vesica Pisces from this direction, that it actually looks like an owl. And in fact, the little piece of white that I've just placed in the middle of the stone really looks like the beak of the owl. So it's kind of really good. You always get something new that you sort of haven't seen before. And the owl, of course, is associated with the dark occult, things like Bohemian Grove and things like that, but it has a very, very long-standing sort of mythical connection, if you like, to the mystery schools. For instance, it's very closely allied with the goddess Athena, and it was her totem of wisdom. But whatever you think, owls are cute and gorgeous anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So, there we go.